Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining here at Unapologetic Progressive. Today we're going to talk about a story that will highlight the fact that Donald Trump is not just getting rid of the bad hombres, as he put it, the bad people, the men and women committing, you know, violent crimes like rape and murder and drug sales to children and stuff like that. Those aren't the people he's going after. In fact, 75% of all the people Trump has deported to this point of this term have not actually been convicted of any crimes in the United States. Many of them don't even have as much as a parking ticket, which you will hear in the upcoming story. But let me take a moment to explain something. Now, if people are here illegally and they are committing violent crimes or they're selling drugs to people, okay, deport them with due process, right? If they've actually committed a crime that is against another person, that is a violent crime, or they're selling drugs, okay, prove it, right? Prove it. If you think they're in a gang, prove it. Prove they're in a gang. Let them have their hearing. Donald Trump's trying to tell you that we're trying to have full trials for every single illegal immigrant that he's trying to deport. We're just asking for them to have their hearings. Hearings that are already scheduled for most of them. There again, of that 75%, a majority of those were doing it the right way, and they were waiting for their court dates as per United States and international law. Well, let's talk about Heidy Sanchez. Heidy Sanchez is a Cuban immigrant. In 2019, she made her way to Mexico and made her way to the U.S. border and was seeking asylum. At the time, of course, there was a remain in Mexico order from Donald Trump. I believe that remained kind of in place throughout the Biden administration, much to my anger anyway. But she did. She remained on the Mexican side of the border as requested by the United States government. She didn't make her appointment because she was scared for her life. There have been a lot of Cuban people, especially Cuban women, targeted by the drug cartels in Mexico for extortion and things like that. We won't get in. I'm not going to get into that. It'll flag this video over what some of the things I have read have been happening to Cuban women and other people trying to get across the border, especially while they're waiting for asylum. But Heidy didn't make that first appointment. But when she returned, she explained to the Border Patrol agents exactly what happened, why she didn't make it, and how she was fearing for her life. Based on the fact that she was fearful for her life, she was detained by Border Patrol for 9 months. During that time, you would assume some homework would have been done on her to make sure she wasn't a criminal. Maybe the U.S. government's too lazy to do that. I don't know. But after 9 months, she was allowed to go stay with her family in Tampa, Florida. There she became a nursing assistant, met her husband, and a little less than 2 years ago, had a child with said husband. Her child was 17 months old when she was deported. Still nursing. Now, Heidy had no drug history, no criminal history, had no ties to a gang. There none of those things were there. No ties to gangs. She was from Cuba, so she wouldn't have been tied to MS-13 from El Salvador or the Venezuelan gangs. Right? She wouldn't have had connections to those. Now, I have not seen a picture of Heidy, so I don't know if she has tattoos, but that shouldn't matter either. But apparently, according to the Trump administration, if you have a tattoo, you're part of the gang. And that's not really how it works, but I digress. Heidi's 17-month-old child has a neurological disorder of some sort because she keeps having seizures and they can't figure out why. And those seizures, of course, have happened since her mother left as well. But this child was still nursing and she was ripped away from her mother. Heidy was down in Tampa Bay, has an attorney, doing it the right way, doing what Republicans always say to do it the right way. She was doing it the right way. She had an attorney, she had court dates that she was making, and she had regular check ins with immigration, which is where she was deported. She was notified, her attorney was notified, and she was notified that her check in date had been moved up a day. But she still made the appointment. She still went to her check in because her attorney was pretty sure that this was just her normal check in, pushed up a day because that's how they'd been notified. They hadn't been notified of any pending deportation. Over the time that she'd been in the United States, she had been trying to get her green card and become a legal resident, meanwhile maintaining her checkups with immigration. So thinking this was just a normal, everyday affair, she was with her child, her husband, I believe they said her sister was there, and her attorney. She got there and was notified almost immediately that she was being detained and that she would be deported, with no option given to her whether or not to keep her child or to leave her child here. She was forced to leave her child here without her mother while that child was still nursing. Does that not sound barbaric to you? She was literally doing what she was supposed to do as a mother and as an immigrant. And she was shipped off back to Cuba. Now, there was a point in time when we took Cuban refugees and Cuban immigrants almost regardless because we're supposed to be standing up to communism, and Cuba is a communist state. So we're supposed to be standing up for freedom and standing up for democracy. But now we just send a woman back after she was able to get out. Now, I've talked at length about how Cuba is not nearly as bad as the United States makes it out to be, but it's not a great place either. Right? Especially if you disagree with the government. But Heidi Sanchez was doing nothing wrong. Now the only time she gets to talk to her now what, 18, 19-month-old child is occasionally on a telephone. Cell service is so spotty that she's very rarely able to make those phone calls. And the only way her daughter really falls to sleep at night, according to her husband, is by playing an audio recording of her mother singing a song to her. The mother, anytime she does get to make the phone calls, she hears the child, crying for mama, wanting her to come home. Is this the America you grew up in? Is this the America you know? Because this isn't the America I grew up in. This is not the America I knew. The America I knew was open to any immigrant who was willing to do it the right way. The America I know opened its arms to people who did it the right way. and Heidy Sánchez was doing it the right way, and look how she was done. If you want more information on immigration and deportations and stuff that's been going on lately, I suggest checking out last week tonight with Jamie Oliver over on here on YouTube on the last um, last week tonight page. He goes far more into detail on deportations, numbers, and how awful this really is. But if you don't support what's going on, please subscribe. Join the channel here at Unapologetically Progressive. That way we can continue the fight. And we are now reaching upwards of 1,500 subscribers, which is some of the most growth I have seen on this channel in years. So thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to those of you that are coming back and watching the videos. And anyways, like I said, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you down the road.